You've been coaching baseball for 51 years.
Right, correct.
What has 5 decades of coaching taught you?
Nothing changes if you discipline. Kids won't discipline. You know, it's a different game now with travel ball and the way that they approach the game. It's not about the name on the front of the uniform anymore. It's about what's on the back. So I quit using names on the back of the uniforms a long time ago because if a coach was interested in one of my players, he'd come up and ask you, "Hey, who's that number 12?" Of course, you gave him programs and things of this nature, but I wanted him to have to research the kid in order to be a valuable asset to his program. And that makes the coach have to say, "Okay, who's this kid?" And so it worked out. The discipline aspect. I mean, I would still be the same. I'd probably be fired in today's vernacular because of what's appropriate and what not appropriate, what you can say, what you can't say. Used to. I mean, I have a nickname for every kid. And nowadays, it doesn't work. And most of the kids, they accept it. And most of them relish it that they got a nickname. Because coaching now, you got a lot of kids, especially where I'm at now. I don't know the kids. I'm not teaching them and things of this nature. So, best way is to nickname them.
Yeah.
That way I can relate to them. But the game has changed. It's become more technical. They measure everything. I mean, pitcher's velocity, pitcher spin rate, exit velocity off the bat, but they don't measure heart. I mean, you can have all the metrics that you want, but the bottom line is, what's the kid got right here? Is he going to win for you? Does he want to be up to the plate with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 7th or bottom of the 9th? Does he want to be that man? And until they can come up with that, I mean, ball goes out of the yard. I can tell you it didn't spin. His spin ratio wasn't enough. And I mean, but again, that's what they have in the colleges. They measure everything. When a kid comes to a showcase, he walks away with spin ratio, which is good. But the thing is that they're constantly working on it. And, I think the arm injuries are more consistent now because the throwing, the travel. I mean, nobody takes a break, especially in the state of Florida. Lord have mercy. I mean, kids, you can throw every day. You can't pitch every day. You can condition every day, things of this nature. But, these kids go and they play 8 games in 2 days. Some of them pitch Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So it's just, and the parents, the expense, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, they're playing all summer and 3,000, and some of the organizations are very good. Coach Chittum from Mitchell, he worked for Top Tier. I mean, unbelievable organization. They develop the kids, they bring them along, and they move them up when they're supposed to. They get more exposure, but again, you got to be able to contribute to it. And he got involved with it because he wanted to see what it was like, and it helped me because I got to talk to him. He played for me. He graduated here, the first graduating class, and coached with me for 17 years. And now he's been at Mitchell 5-6 years. Phenomenal record, 4 or 5 kids already in professional baseball, and he's a good resource. I mean, everything in baseball, and I mean, you played the game in high level. There's nothing original, I mean, I went to clinics my whole life. I would take the notes. I would go home, type them up, put them in a file, catching, pitching, might be able to take one thing from a player. Okay. And, if you take one idea from another coach, you watch something, they call it stealing. You get 2 or more, it's called research. I got a lot of research.
I believe it.
And so, I mean, that's the way it is.
51 years of research.
Right. Yeah.
At that.
It's and still excited. There's a saying, nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. Hey, I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I mean, there's so many. My daughter played basketball here. Coach Anders, I played college baseball with. The games that were here. Well, you grew up watching it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The atmosphere.
I grew up attending your baseball camps
Right.
as a kid. And those are things I want to talk about, how you really created a culture
Okay.
where kids coming up knew
Mhm.
that's where I want to go.
Right.
That's who I want to play with. That's who I want to play for. And it really prospered a culture.
Right.
And it's difficult to do. Now it's more and more rare to find coaches that stay
Right.
decade upon decade. I tried to look up the FHSAA records.
Right.
I tried to. They're a little harder to find.
Right.
You have to be in the top 10, give or take. There's a couple coaches that have like 900
Right.
wins and 1,000 wins
Yeah.
regarding the most amount of wins in
Right.
career as a coach. It's unbelievable to hear coaches have been around 40 years
Right.
at the same high school,
Right.
or maybe just a couple, right?
Yeah,
May have
yeah.
been 1 or 2 years and then they get a home.
Macaluso, the coach from King, he retired last year after 50 almost 50 years. Baisley, Atlanta Lakes, is his 45th year as the head coach.
Unbelievable.
And, and the thing is, of course, he retired. He taught at Pineview, and then but he worked at Atlanta Lakes. I think, it's tough now because people just don't want to put the time in. They don't want to be teachers and coaches because of all the burden, I guess, of what they do, the paper. Well, your dad, he probably comes home sometimes and tell you, I got something else to do. I love the fact that I was here with my players. I got to see them during the day. You got to see them after a game, whether it was a win or a loss. When they walked through that door, they were a student at Ridgewood High School or Gulf or Hudson. I didn't carry on like, they could have made an error the night before, whatever. When they hit that school, that was over. That was their time. That wasn't me to walk down the hallway and have them go, well, he's ticked. He's still ticked. No. Hey, that's that time. And I mean, to watch him in that atmosphere and to be here. And of course, you go through a lot of stuff with, coach, your kid moved in class today. Are you going to discipline him or what? Or he didn't bring a pencil or he dropped his pencil or something like that. But I mean, to be here all the years and watch him walk across and, it was phenomenal.
In this room, on this court,
Yes.
where we graduated.
Yep, right here.
Very neat.
I was on the stage, first 3 years, I was a dean of students in charge of discipline. That was an adventure.
We'll chat about that. So, did you always want to be a coach?
Yes. I mean, when I was in high school, we had these little leagues that we would get to coach a basketball team, and then we and the kids are from the community and everything. And so, that, and then when I went to college, I had a great coach, Tom Wonderling. Still talk to him. In fact, I talked to him Christmas. He taught about organization. I mean, practice schedules, things of this nature. And I said, hey, he gave us a packet, that we had to learn. I mean, when I graduated high school, there were no packets. You just played. And he sent me on that path. And I went to graduate school and helped the college team I played at somewhat. But worked assistant intramural director. And then, of course, I knew I was in education, and my wife was in education, and we both want to be teachers. So she got a little bit of what I went through. I mean, when we dated, she never dated an athlete, somebody that played. So, going to college baseball games, watching me play, she got a little bit of the enthusiasm and things of this nature. And then she understood it because I was a part-time husband and probably no count something else. But, Bethany came along and she understood it. She played sports. She got into it. And, if it hadn't been for them, I wouldn't be here today. Because, you know yourself, your dad was a teacher. But when you coach everybody else's kids, you're with them more than you are your own kid. And for them to share that, is unbelievable. I mean, we still, every morning she drives to work in Tennessee. She works at the University of Tennessee and calls me. We talk until she gets to her parking space, and it's usually about, I told her I was coming over here today. She goes, well, make sure you put your lotion on your legs so you don't. I said, I'm not going to show my legs.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Special people, I mean, your family. I mean, you got a great family. Growing up with my parents, a brother, a sister, and that's what you did.
Yeah. So you brought it up almost right away. I've got several quotes of yours we'll talk about today. You once said, athletics is the last discipline you're going to get.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
You know, when you walk across that stage, nobody's going to say, hey, Tommy, you got to do this. You got to get up. You know, you got to do that. Nobody's going to, okay, we'll just replace you. We don't like you. We don't like the way you look, your haircut or whatever. You've been given a trial basis. You're gone. You know, you can't say, okay, mom, dad, you know, come to this. I mean, kids that play sports, you know, in my opinion, you know, the fact that they've been knocked down, you failed, and you know you've gotten back up. A lot of kids that go through there, they've got 4.0s, and God love them. You know, it's great. I'm glad we got smart people in this world, but they've never been told no. They've never had to fight back, and that worries me. You know, the first B that they get, they're ready to, you know. And like I tell the kids, you know, like I was yesterday that we were running, and I was, you know, said, hey, look, what are you going to do when you get 3 kids at home? You're married. You got to get up and go to work. Well, you're learning that right here. I mean, if you ever listen to Coach Saban on, you know, Saturday, you know, baseball, he's unbelievable. That's what he's a teacher. He would teach at any level he's at, and he would be successful because he's a teacher. And he enjoyed teaching. Well, I don't know if you do that as much now. He would do it, but he's not in it because I don't think he could continue. But I mean, nobody else is going to bring you in. Your boss probably not going to bring you in and say, you know, hey, you got, you know, you've had somebody get up in your face and challenge you. And, you know, you've met the challenge.
I think that's possibly how you measure heart.
Yes.
Is to see how many times the kid gets up
right
after he's been knocked down.
Right.
And, you know, we know baseball. You know baseball better than anyone. You fail 7 out of 10 times, and you're one of the best.
And you're in the Hall of Fame.
Right? You're in the Hall of Fame. So to just fail that often teaches you a lot.
Yes.
It really does. So why do you think discipline is less and less common among kids today?
They're afraid. Coaches are afraid.
The coaches are afraid.
The coaches are afraid to push the limit. The administrators now, I mean, when I started, Mr. Corinne here, 20 years, he was my principal. He's an ex-Marine. Okay. A lot of your principals when I first started were former football coaches. Not saying that, you know, the other people aren't successful, because they are. Coach K, Randy Koenigsfeld, who was principal here, he was my assistant coach for numerous years. Still, you know, we do things together, baseball-wise and things of this nature. And, you know, he knew what it was like. I mean, you know, those guys have been through the grind, and they had your back. And nowadays, you know, it's like, I never remember being called into the principal's office and saying this. He probably took care of it. And I'm sure that there were people that questioned my 4-hour practices and Saturday practices and the commitment that you had to make in order to be. But we told them that at the camp that you used to come to. You know, the parents were always, and I would always tell the parents, you know, we can't recommend you. It's going to be tough to recommend your kid, because I'm not only selling your kid as a baseball player, but I'm selling the parents. And are they going to be behind you? Are they going to be standing over there, coach in college, running up to the fence or something, you know, things of that. And it made a lot of people, you know, people didn't like to hear that. But I mean, got to be honest. I'm sending, you know, we're sending your kid out. I mean, and that's why you're tough on them, because when you go to the next level, as you know, hey, play, you know, do the job. But if you don't do the job, you know, if you're a liability on the field, you can be an asset on the bench. You can keep a chart. You can do things of this nature.
Keep the bench warm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you know, be a good teammate, you know.
Because there's 26 guys behind you
Absolutely.
waiting to get in the field.
Yeah, everybody wants to play. You know, you play, baseball, like in college, everything, you know, you get a position, or in high school, you get a position, you maintain it. If you lose it, you earn it back. So you practice every day like you're starting. So when that opportunity presents itself, you're ready to go. And I mean, I remember in college, my first year I was a pitcher. Of course, after that, I was probably the smallest pitcher on the team, but anyway, I went to the infield, and I remember I got up, pinch hit, and popped up, came back to the dugout, and the coach goes, "You'll sit for 2 weeks." So I could have cried in my milk or whatever, but I kept working. 2 weeks from that day, I got to pinch hit. I got a double, played the rest of the time.
It's also a testament that he's a man of his word,
Yeah,
because a lot of people hear 2 weeks,
right.
and then 14 games go by,
Yes.
and then 30 games go by,
Right.
and then you only get 20 at bats for an entire
Right.
season. And then it's really hard to get back on the horse
Yes.
because then mentally you're defeated.
Yeah.
And I experienced that
Yes.
myself. Right?
Right.
Describe your methodology to coaching.
Preparation. It's the process. I love practice. I love to practice. Fortunately, I've had great assistant coaches, Coach Chittum, Coach Yusko, Coach Koenigsfeld. I mean, I can go right on down the line, and fortunately I've been able to throw, batting practice, curveballs, things of this nature. But you got to prepare them. You fail as a coach if you don't prepare them for every situation. If something comes up in a game, a first and third, a bunt defense, or something that you were unprepared for, then I failed. And I would tell the players, I missed that one. I mean, I've got to scout ahead and know that this guy's going to delay, steal, things of this nature. I mean, it's a whole process. So, it's a process of getting, you set goals. We used to say, okay, set goals that are reachable. Every year, turn them into me. Okay. I said, I'm going to write a goal that I think, number of wins, championships, batting average, things of this nature, and I'm going to put it in my drawer. And then when the season's over, I'll pull it out. You do the same. You write your goals and you see if you worked, maintain them. But, it's a process of the end result, I mean, playing baseball, you shoot for the district tournament. Okay. And, you're prepared for it. And you can still get in the playoffs. Your season can be up and down, but you ready for that final week. And, single elimination. And it used to be a long time ago when I first started, it was like double elimination, which made it, real interesting. But now with single elimination, you go and, if you're the bottom seed, you're going to play the top seed. Hey, that's where the fun begins. I mean, the preparation, the fundamental, I'm a fundamental, coach. I mean, we work on it. We work on the bunting. We work on the, all the little things every day, pitchers, first and third, things of this nature. Every day. That's why it's had a long practice. Well, I want to make sure when they get in there that they're ready to respond.
You mentioned so many phenomenal points, and you played at such a high level that you understood the game.
Right.
I think part of the issue with coaching among every sport, because, I found powerlifting after playing baseball, all sorts of sports, a lot of people, they don't have enough experience and they start coaching.
Right.
And they don't know what they don't know.
Right. Yeah.
And especially with youth sports, a lot of times people are asked to be volunteers and you feel guilty.
Right.
I've never played hockey.
Yeah.
If my kid wants to play hockey and I'm guilted into volunteering, I'm not going to be a valuable asset, resource, because I just don't know what it's like, Right. So it's such a treasure to have a coach that played and understands the game. And you hear about IQ, baseball IQ, lifter IQ, and all sorts of stuff. To have a coach with a high baseball IQ is invaluable, right?
Right.
And you also noted that you would tell your players that you failed them.
Absolutely.
In lack of preparation.
Right.
I played for a lot of people throughout the years,
yes.
Right? I still compete. It's been 20 plus years I've been playing something. Very, 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 very few coaches would say, I failed you in preparation. But it's way easier to say, you showed up late last Thursday, you haven't been taking BP on your own, you're not there, your head's not in the game, and blame.
Right.
Rather than accept, we should have done PFPs before the season started.
Yeah.
And that's how we would have been prepared for bunting and so on and so forth, right? So it's such an honorable thing to hear. And it's reassuring that it's still around.
I mean, you got to be honest. I mean, that's the thing. You got to be accountable. I mean, as a coach, as a parent, as a father, as a son. I mean, you're accountable, and you don't want to embarrass. I don't want, and today, the internet. I mean, you can go up and look up anything. Go up and look about this guy's swing, how he swings. Okay, and you got these kids. When I was coaching here at Ridgewood, Tom Seaver, when he was phenomenal. Tom Seaver, no doubt about phenomenal. Well, he always drug his drive knee, always tore his pants up at the knee because that knee touched the ground. I would have kids come trying out for JV, and their knees dragging the ground, and they're throwing the ball over the catcher's head. And I was like, "What are you doing?" Well, Tom Seaver. Well, you've got to have a happy median. It's got to feel comfortable for you. There's not too many Tom Seavers in the world, and I haven't seen too many people drag their knee like Tom Seaver did. Okay, and you go and Ken Griffey, what a beautiful swing. I mean, you look at these, Ted Williams. I mean, it's just so much. I mean, the history of baseball and that. But the one element that you got to have is that you got to control your own situation. You got to control your own body. You can't. We never tried to clone hitters. We don't try to clone pitchers. But there's certain things that everybody does that you've got to be close proximity. And if you do that, you have a chance for success. And, otherwise you can't. Okay, I mean, cloning, and, umpires, we had an umpire here at one time. I mean, he was a real good umpire, did some pro ball, but everybody wanted to be like him. And there were 2 or 3 of them that emulated him. I mean, to the nth degree. So I called him one time. I said, "Look, I can take one of you, but I can't take 3 of you." I said, "So you need to talk to your boys." Because it was, I mean, I didn't want to get thrown out, but I mean,
Sure.
these guys were, anyway.
If you could only pick one thing, what was the most important part of your coaching career?
Caring. The success of the kid. I've got kids now that are Secret Service in Washington, D.C. Now, he played football and baseball here. He walked on it. I think Florida Atlantic, he got cut. He called me. He said, "Coach, I got the 5 swings and I got cut." That didn't discourage him. He would run through a brick wall for his team and his players and his coaches and things of this nature. And he ends up, there would have been some place he could play college baseball. If you start on your high school, chances are, if you're willing to go out and everything and, move around. But the biggest thing I told the kids was, is it going to meet your academic needs? Is the program that you're going into, is it going to be successful for you? And he was Secret Service guard for Kamala Harris.
And I think presidents too, right?
Yeah, and the president. Yeah,
Former
he's still
presidents.
there. He's still there. And I mean, we'll text out. He had a son, and I texted him over Christmas. I said, "How's your son doing baseball?" Because he's swinging every day. I got him doing all the drills. That's the thing. The relationships that you teach these kids. We're not teaching them wrong. There's many ways to do things. But the repetition in order to be success. He was successful. He wasn't going to say, "Okay, I got cut from this baseball team." That's not going to stop my goal of what he is. And I mean, and that's the thing that you develop. I mean, we had 7 or 8 kids that signed pro contract. Mike Ribello, he's now the bench coach for the Minnesota Twins. It's his 4th or 5th year in professional baseball at the big league level, and he played upward of 5 years, 3 to 5 with the Tigers and the Marlins and everything. But he intense, carried on. I mean, we say it, HTTSR, hit the top step rank. It's not only baseball. Everything that you do, I mean, you want to be first. You want to be first. I mean, I go in the bathroom and I pick the first urinal. Why? It's first place. People probably see this and say, "What are you, crazy?" Go to the grocery store. I go to the first row of grocery carts. Take out the first one. you know, and you know, you want your kids to know that anything is possible, you know. You just got to go for it. I mean, you know, set your goal where it's reachable. You know, most kids, you know, good-looking kids, they don't want to ask the best-looking girl out. Why?
Rejection.
Rejection. Afraid she's going to say no. Okay, she says no. There's another one out there. You go ask her. You know, I mean, that's part of it. That's part of life. I didn't get this job. Well, one door closed, another's open. You know, that's why you gotta get to the door, but then you gotta turn it and see what's on the other side. You know,
Of all the things you could have chosen as the most important part of your coaching career, was the success of the player beyond the game.
yeah, absolutely. Yes.
I don't think that could be emphasized enough.
I've went to so many weddings, you know, so many birthdays, first birthdays, and proud to do it. You know, proud. The wife and I, she goes, "Where are you going?" I was even in one of my players' wedding, and she goes, "You got to be kidding me. You're 45 years old." I said, "I'm not going to bachelor parties." You know, I mean, but to know that they call, they text you when they've had a child, you know, and things. I mean, and to see them, you know, we got, you know, lawyers. Ben Canningsville, West Point, you know, played baseball there. Now he was a JAG lawyer. Now he's in Washington D.C. His brother, Ben was at John is coaching at Central Florida, won a World Series. You know, like I said, John Servideo, who played here, played at Barry,
Played with the Mets.
and the Mets, and now he's Army Airborne, Army Ranger. After, I mean,
After professional baseball career.
absolutely. I seen him running down Little Road one day when I was driving over this way, and he was running with the backpack and everything, and he's running down. And I pulled over. "John, what are you doing?" And the backpack was full of weights. He said, "I'm going." He would text me after each of the Army Airborne training, each phase. "I made it. I made it. I made it." I mean, you know, you can't put a price tag on that. I mean, it's not about, oh, if you win championships, that's fine. But you know, the kids know that that you're there, and if you know if a kid's doing wrong, I mean, I've had the wives call me and say, "Could you talk to him?" And you know, sometimes you got to go over there and
Have a hard conversation.
Yes, you know, I remember one situation where I took two baseball gloves and a ball, and we just played catch, and we talked. You know,
That's simple,
yes,
but it's the act that you care,
yes,
and you'll show up 45 years, 51 years later.
as long as I'm able,
Exactly.
you know.
What was a difficult lesson for you to learn as a young coach?
That the players, you had to continue to do the repetitions because they weren't there. I mean, you got them there. They were in high school. You know, I mean, fortunately, I started off as a junior high baseball coach. 1 year, I worked those kids. I mean, you know, we went 11-1, won the Gulf Coast Conference Championship. We practiced on the Little League field over where Ritchie Elementary is. Carried all the equipment in the back of my '69 Cougar, and then the next 2 years I was a JV coach, and then the following year I was head coach at Gulf High School for 3 years. And I mean, you know, the tough thing was that teaching the kids they could be successful, but then once you get to the high school level, you got to be prepared because you got kids throwing 90 mile an hour. You know, so you got to know, hey, you can. You know, you got to prepare them that they can meet that. You know, it's not like you're going to hit every pitch, you know, hit his mistake, but that's the thing that making them believe in themselves that they can do it. You know, and you know, fortunately we were able to do that. You know, and the coaches that I had that believed and worked, but now it's tough. I mean, because you got coaches that, you know, they're teaching and they don't want to come out after school, spend that time. And I mean, that's why you're getting all these volunteers, you know, to come in. But of course, they make them go through a rigorous, you know, preparation in order to be it, fingerprinting and things of this nature. I mean, so that they don't get, you know, that you can't never be guaranteed. But yet, you got to be you got to be select on the people that are coming in. You got to take a look at them because, coaching football here all the years that, toward the end, I still continued to coach football because I was concerned they were bringing in kids that, they big and muscular. I mean, you've seen them in the gym that you go to. Now, all of a sudden, they're coaching football and they're wanting to grab and look at me.
Changes the game.
Oh, I mean, and I used to tell them, hey, look, I remember when you played. We couldn't find you. We were looking for players, and you were hiding over there. And now all of a sudden, you're bench pressing 350, and you're all of a sudden, but,
confident.
Knowledge. I mean, you just got to have knowledge and things of that nature, not trying to be a phony. Kids can spot a phony. They can spot a phony as a teacher or a coach or somebody coming out and trying to. They can spot it. I mean, what? I mean, fortunately, I was able to field a ground ball, throw off the mound, things of this nature. I could show them, and fortunately, some of them, I was lucky. My dad could do all that. He was ambidextrous. He'd throw lefty, he'd throw righty. I mean, things of this nature. And some of them don't have that, and it makes it difficult. Difficult for them because if you ever watch some of the players throw, they throw like their dad, because that's how they learn, and it's not their fault. And by the time they get to high school, it's a little bit tough to change. You can teach certain things, but it makes it tough.
You can evolve, but it's hard to change entirely.
Yes. Yeah,
it's hard to reinvent.
We used to have the parents come in and have a practice with us. They'd sign a release form. Of course, I don't know what those mean, and they would throw, and you could look out there, and they'd be throwing with their son, and then it would come up to hit, and I'd throw to them, and the parents, they'd hit, and you'd see. I mean, but we made it as a structure. It wasn't to say like, okay, well, that's why you're there, but you're it's a process that you've learned since you were, and then the parents that go to somebody and say, look, I'm a doctor, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm a whatever. I need you to go. And, I remember giving lessons. Kids were little, 6, 7 years old, and we would throw, we did everything. And the parent would go, I want my kid to hit. I said, well, if he can't throw or catch, it's not happening. We can sit in the cage. I can take your money. I can throw him a ball, and he can. He's doing good. But I want the kid to have fun. Baseball to me is still fun. I mean, you get on your kids when they're throwing is the most important part of practice. I mean, how many games are lost because the throw's bad or whatever? I mean, get excited, move the feet, dance around. You got your throwing. I mean, show. But again, they play so much that we told them at Christmas, take 2 or 3 weeks off. Don't do anything. Don't do any baseball. Don't, what we have to go on.
You mentioned earlier about everyone can spot a phony.
Right.
Kids are especially good at it.
Yes.
They can see through it. I don't know if it's, intuition, right? How did you set the precedence for your players?
I came to work every day. I came to work excited. They knew it was going to be posted on the board, what was going to be going on today, and the batting practice schedule, what time we were going to do this, and they knew. So that helped them prepare for their schooling, because they said, if this guy comes in, he's telling us what we're doing, I can do the same thing. I mean, and nowadays it's like, I came in and they knew we had a plan, and we were going to stay with that plan. And if we had to deviate from that plan, somebody was going to have to pay, because somebody wasn't upholding their end of the bargain. And, that to me, that they knew that the equipment, everything lined out. I mean, we had, when the kids got out of school, we had the ladder set up, we had the hurdle set up, jump, things of this plyometric set up, push-up bars. So as soon as they got dressed, the only thing that I wish we could have done better was had a locker room to where the kids could put their clothes in, but I mean, they dress outside and dress in the weight room or whatever. But then, boom, they went to that, and it was every day. And then we did, our flex and things of this nature. So there was no idle time. They knew, we're going to work, and then they knew when it was going to be over, and things of that nature. So it was scripted.
Key term, we.
Yeah.
You were included.
Right.
You weren't just whipping them from the back.
No.
So to speak, metaphor.
Right.
You were in the trenches with them.
Yes.
And
I did the flex every day with them.
Yep.
28 years here. Now, game day, they did it on their own. And if I didn't see it was going right, we started running. But they knew that never happened. I mean, I counted 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, over everything, running, go, things of this nature, base running, go, and then they knew I was right there with them.
You once told me you wanted to know the guy next to you is going to be in the foxhole with you, and you can trust him.
Yes.
And I think you showed up for your players every day, and you were that guy for them.
Yeah.
And it really set the precedence. So a lot of cultures in anything, baseball, teams, employment, a lot of them get toxic so fast.
Right.
And they spoil, right?
Right.
It's so hard to create a good one. Do you think it's harder to create a good one or harder to maintain a good culture?
I think it's harder to create it, but it's even harder to maintain it. Because some people like, I made it. And I was saying, a buddy of mine that, it's a tragic story, but he was shooting fireworks off the cliffs in the mountain. And, he was a 12-year-old kid. He was a huge kid, John Corliss, and he threw a firecracker and he slipped. He fell off. Well, his buddy went to a guy fishing on the river and said, "Hey, my buddy, well, here's a rope." He pulled, and I tell the kids this story. I still got to write it. He pulls him up and he reaches up and he says, "I'm glad I made it to the top." He didn't make it. I said, "So when you think, you better hold on." And it's the old thing, you've heard it, hold the rope. I forget what coach did that. If you're off of a cliff, who do you want to hold? Well, they're going to look at Tommy Moschner right now and say, "Tommy, hold the rope." Should be anybody on your team. Should be the little guy. The Robbie McCabe's, the little guys that, you played with him. He's strong.
He is. Dependable too.
Yeah. So, again, we think, but that's the way it goes.
A friend of mine, we already did an interview. I could show it to you. His name's Mike De La Pava. I talked about, everyone says you want to be, how do they say it? They talk about your strongest link and your weakest link. Right? You really want to be as weak as your strongest link, not as strong as your weakest.
Right.
Because that way you prosper this culture where we're relying on everyone equally. We're not going to rely on the worst guy just because we know he's going to fail. We're not going to just set him up. We're not just going to have him sacrifice bunt just because we know he can't do anything else. We want to be able to rely on him. And he may be able to perform because he's trying, because he knows he's going to earn that spot.
Well, a teammate, I tell the kids all the time, and I'm sure you've heard it, and I'm sure everybody that's played, the difference between a teammate and a friend. A friend's going to go, "Yeah, the coach is wrong. He shouldn't be yelling at you like that," But a teammate's going to go, "Yeah, you screwed up. Suck it up. Okay, battle back, and we're going to need you." But the friend, puts his arm around him and said, and parents, nowadays they're afraid to, the kid's going to go to that's a little bit what's right now. Again, there's overdo it. People overdo it. Parents overdo it and everything else like that. But the kids got to know, you cross that line. We had a T-shirt one time here that said "Cross the line." So if you're running a sprint, you just don't run to the line. You cross the line. And it's like you get tired. It's all of a sudden they look around, they're backpedaling, and they say, "Oh, I'm right there," and they turn and walk, and I'm yelling, "No! If you can't backpedal fast, backpedal walking. So,
don't give up on it.
right.
Right. Or especially cheated.
Yes.
That's almost worse.
Yes. Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Almost worse than giving up.
I mean, if you're looking around, I mean, you can look around the kid. He's doing those crunches, and
they know they're guilty.
He's looking. If he's looking around, and you don't want him up at the the game on the line, and that's what you want. You want that kid that will jump in that foxhole and not say which foxhole. How far do I jump in? He's that. You just go.
Did you ever struggle with maintaining culture within the teams?
Well, I think if you struggle with it, you're incorrect in perceiving what your kids are. Because a lot of people, they say, well, this is a different team. I've got to do things a little different way. Well, there's certain things that you don't substitute. This is the way. You're on time. You're accountable. You run everything. You go through it. Baseball is an individualized team sport. Okay? You go up there, you're an individual. Okay? Now the coach gives you the bunt sign, then you become a team player. Okay? So again, a lot of times you go up there, you got your 2 cuts or whatever. Now you got 2 strikes. Now you got to choke up and get up on the plate, and you got to battle.
2-2-2.
Yeah. 222. And then
explain that.
We were playing Coach Chittum, and I went up. Kid was at plate with 2 strikes. And I go 222, and I heard one of his kids from the dugout, Coach, he got that from you. And so it was all good. But I mean, it's like those certain things that because that's where leads to failure. Once once you don't have control of your dugout or they're doing stuff and and talking to people and things like that, that's culture. Now that's the way it's going to be. Does that translate into winning and losing? I don't know. But again, it gives you a better opportunity because they're in the game. I mean, I remember going in the dugout before and ask a kid, how many outs are there? And he didn't know. I go, okay, 10 polls after the game.
You're making me uncomfortable. Yeah. Getting flashbacks.
I mean,
I know that feeling.
Yes.
Of I knew the answer, but you're looking over like, oh God.
Yeah.
Now we're all gonna get it.
Yeah.
Just because that guy, wasn't paying attention.
You want to pay. You got to be. We got you for 7 innings. That's it. You give not 110, not 120 or one. You give 100% of what you've got, and that's all I ask. Because I'm going to give 100%. I'm not going to give 110. I'm going to give what you're supposed to give, what you're capable of giving.
Explain seeing that they gave 100%, and sometimes 100% is not enough to beat the other person's 100%.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's just facts, right?
Right.
Explain witnessing your players give 100% and falling short.
Okay. It's like the state championship game we were in. Okay. We played 2002. We beat Central High School 2-1 or one run. Danny Lotz hit a home run. We go over to Daytona Beach Seabreeze. Now, we're facing 93-94 first game. We go to Seabreeze. They got 2 players. We're facing the same thing. We went on a squeeze bunt. Okay, we're not going to hit the kid. We played good defense. Then the third game of the season, third game of the playoffs, we go face Musgrave from Ocala Forest. He's 94-95. We give up 3 in the first, end up winning 4-3. We go play Dunedin. They're ranked number 1 in the country. Okay. Or number 2. They were undefeated and the number 1 team got beat. Whatever. They got Harvey throwing. He's throwing 96, 97. He's a junior. We beat him 3-1. We go play Bishop Kenny. They throw a lefty throwing 78. Game over. Okay, we only had 13 players on the team, and everything. And the kids, we got spanked. We got spanked. The effort was there. Okay, they hit it where we were not. They didn't crush it. They were a good team. They had been to the state 5 years in a row and hadn't won it. Okay, after the game, what are we going to do? Hey, I didn't use moral victory. I said, hey, We got beat by the better team. You don't have to put your head down. You know, there's going to be you're going to lose battles in life, okay? But you got to be ready to come back tomorrow. And so we had a young team, fairly young team, and we went deep in the playoffs for the next 3 years. But I mean, you just know, you're not walking around saying, you know, I got embarrassed. You embarrassed me. Hey, I got no complaints. I mean, you know, the thing is, you prepare them. You know, there's good days and there's bad days. You know, and you know, things are not going to go your way. But that doesn't mean you're not a failure till you start blaming somebody else. You know, and I wasn't going to let those kids. I mean, we positive. I mean, you know, it's because that's life. You're not going to win everything, but you got to go, you know, 100%.
What core lessons do you strive to teach every player? Because I love saying it, it's been 51 years.
Yeah.
It's such a testament, right? And you've already noted the game doesn't change very much. The kids probably don't change very much either. Right. So you've definitely developed these core lessons where it doesn't matter if it's 1982 or 2026.
Right.
This 14-year-old freshman can learn this lesson, this lesson, this lesson. Explain some of those.
Well, number one, you care about him. Okay. If he, you know, it's like, you know, we used to have kids here try out for baseball, and you knew they weren't going to make it. Well, we didn't have a 2-day tryout. Now, you know, you go to these tryouts, they have a pro tryout. If you're an outfielder, you're throwing from right field at Father's Park. You're throwing to third base. You're throwing to the plate. You're an infielder. You all go to shorts. You throw over, and then they radar gun you to see what your arm velocity. You're a pitcher. You know, you get so many hits and things of this nature. Well, we would have kids come out here, and they had no clue, but they paid their tryout fee. You know, they filled out all the paperwork. And so I'm going to give them a 1-day tryout and say, you're done. No, they got 5 days. I said, I want to see if one kid during batting practice, I had to put somebody with him because somebody hits him a line drive, he might take it off the forehead. Yeah. But he got 1 week of tryouts. Everybody did. And there were no bullying. There was no making fun. I mean, it was like, I want to see if in a week you can get better. And then some of them did. And, you know, like JV, maybe a couple years, things of this nature. But you can always improve a person's feeling about themselves. I could have said, hey, and then that kid was in my class. He would come back after college and visit me on, you know, break or whatever the case may be, you know, because you spend a little time with him. I mean, you know, to me, it's time well spent, and you got to know that kid can be successful. That's something, you know, he's going to be successful. He might be your dentist, you know, he might be your doctor,
your lawyer,
or your lawyer. Yeah. And, you know, but the thing is, he's got to know, hey, I remember I was dean of students at Gulf High School. And, you know, that's when corporal punishment and all this kind of stuff. And I was going to pick up a pizza. I think I told you a story. Pizza. And this kid was walking out of the bar next to it. He had long hair and everything. You know, he had the cement on. He was a construction worker. He goes, Coach Beets. And I was like, uh-oh. He goes, I just got to tell you. He said, you got in my face. You disciplined me. And he said, I know you look at me now and you say, I'm married. I've got 3 kids. I make sure that they do everything out. But I wanted to tell you that you're the only one that wasn't afraid to step in front of me and say something that I was heading the wrong way. And he said, you know, if you look at me, you think, but he said, I've got a good, you know, family and everything. And he said, I just wanted to thank you. And I was like, well, you know, appreciate that. He's a big boy. You know,
that's awesome.
You know, but that's what it's.
So there's 2 core lessons were caring,
right,
and discipline.
Right, absolutely.
Those were the 2.
You're not going to get any place in life if you're not disciplined. You know, it's not happening. You know, it's just not. You know, you get up every morning. You got to. You know, it's like here. I got up here and I worked out a little bit before. I said I can't go in there and Tommy would be all blowed up. I said I got to do a little bit of something. You know, I don't have as much time as I normally do, but you know, I do that because I want the kids to see, hey, he's ready. I mean, I was throwing the other day, just getting ready for tryouts next week, and coach said, "How the arm, coach?" I said, "Well, you know, got to bring it out of retirement," but I said, "I'll be ready on Monday."
Still got it.
And you know,
still the jackhammer.
Yeah.
Still got it. So with discipline, you developed a couple letters that are infamous among thousands of people. Some people listening may not know what HTTSR stands for. Explain what it is and how you did it, how you developed it.
Coach Chittum, or Howard, we call him the Colonel because when we started the program here at Ridgewood, he played left field, and I mean, he ran off the field, and if you got in his way, look out. And he's the first one. I mean, everybody had their glove and everything. I mean, our philosophy was nobody should be able to tell the score of the game by the way you come on and off the field. They should look at you when you're going to your position and say, that he's 3 for 3. He's having a great game. But then if you look at the other kid and say, well, he must be 0 for 3. You know, and we said, you do that in everything that you do. I mean, once you cross that line, it's game on. It's life on. And, you know, we named the award after him. 1986, when the first graduating class, Mr. Kren signed it and gave him a plaque and everything. Instead of a coach's, you know, we changed it to the Howard Chittum Hit the Top Step Running Coaches Award. You know, so again, and when I see the kids, you know, they'll send me a text or something. Coach, I'm still HTTSR. I mean, it's on my license plate. You know, I mean, you know, somebody might say, oh, well, that's it. It's on the hat. It's all, you know, because of the thing. I want them to know that as long as they do that, they're successful. You know, they're successful. You got to just, you know, go and, you know, you grow up. I mean, I guess part of it was too, you know, growing up, we didn't have a lot of coaches, you know, that were, especially baseball. You know, I mean, it was like my high school coach, he was a farmer. Great basketball coach. Won a ton of baseball. But baseball, you know, I carried the equipment in my car. I hit infield before a game, then go down the bullpen and get loose to throw, things of this nature. Now your high school football coaches, they were into it. You know, I mean, they were into it because in Tennessee, right next to the University of Tennessee, they were, you know. And so, you know, I said that if I ever get a chance to coach, I want to give back to the coaches that did help me along the way, you know. But there wasn't 6 guys now trying to tell you how to throw the ball, you know this kind of stuff. It was just like if you do it, do it. And you know, we took that and we just ran with it. I mean, you know, it's you look at, you know, Pete Rose. Major
Charlie
league hit
Hustle.
leader, Charlie Hustle, the whole 9 yards, and he did it on grit. I mean, everything that he did was full tilt.
Even all-star games.
Yes.
Where he's breaking ankles, right?
I mean, Ray Fosse, he ran over him. I mean, you know, that's how it's still a game. But you have to play, you know, play it hard.
And it teaches discipline.
Yes.
When you hit the top step running.
Right.
And when you truly live it,
yes,
you can take that approach to become the lawyer, the Secret Service member,
yes,
the construction worker. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
But you're trying.
Yes.
And then when you're trying hard, you're going to show up on time or early, a couple hours.
Right.
And, you know, you care.
Yeah.
Where several guests have noticed, I'll do all this setup solo right now.
Right.
I iron the table.
Right.
I bring my own iron.
the iron over there.
Bring my own iron. Bring my own lint brush. Because I'm going to do all this effort for you and not care about a detail like that.
Right.
It drives me nuts.
Right.
I can't do that. I'm going to show up. I shaved, right?
Yeah, right.
No facial hair. Where these are things that they're important lessons.
Right.
Because if I'm disciplined in ironing the tablecloth,
right,
I'm disciplined enough to handwrite all the notes,
right,
to watch your interviews from 2011,
right,
to read your Tampa Bay Times articles, and to really care.
Right. Preparation.
Because I'm in the foxhole with you.
Right.
Right. And you've set that precedence for over half a century. And it means a lot to a lot of people. It really does.
Appreciate that.
Of course. We just noted how players can apply, hit the top step running
Right.
the rest of their lives. We just chatted about that. How has teaching HTTSR gotten more difficult as discipline has gotten more rare among kids? How has that kind of evolved in your time coaching?
Well, to me, it hasn't.
Which is great. That's
I'm
great
the
news.
same way.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's time. I mean, I'm not the head coach. Coach Baisley does an outstanding job and everything. And you know, I've had little conversations with players along the line about, you know, this is, if you want to, you know, if you want to go, this is what you got to do. I mean, you know, and you're slacking up in this responsibility. So if you're slacking up here, you're going to be slacking up. And, you know, not everybody can make an A in a class. And I can attribute that, you know, myself. You know, a couple of classes I worked hard and I got a C, but that was algebra, and I was happy to get it, and I worked at it. I didn't just say, okay, whatever. But the kids got to know that it's out there for them, and there's so many opportunities, you know, for today's kids with the academics they have and the different schools and things that they can go into. But I mean, I think I do it, and same thing with my daughter. You know, we'll text back and forth or something. It'll be like a little HTTSR. She'll be having a bad day, or something didn't go right, and she might want to be feeling sorry for herself, and I'll just put HTTSR. And you know, she knows, hey, I got to do it.
You just answered it. The next question I had was, when players don't adhere to hit the top step running, what do you do? And you just display that you care.
Yeah.
And you'll have the private conversation. You're not going to berate them and put them down and humiliate them. That's not going to help. Right? You really show that caring is the key.
Right.
And we were just talking about her before, Mary Keene.
Yeah.
Her interview will come out after yours.
She's feisty.
She is. But when I was asking her about education, she's been teaching and coaching 50 years as well, between swimming and public education. Her answer was love.
Yeah.
And that's what caring is.
Yeah.
So you both gave the same answer. So, I mean, a century of wisdom between the two of you, and the answer is the same.
I mean, you pat somebody. I mean, you get on them. Like we said earlier, you know, this is the last avenue of somebody getting on you, you know, getting up in your face. I mean, that's it. And then you pat them, you know, right when it's over, because, you know, that's, you don't carry it. Oh, you don't. And I know there's some, you know, they keep coming after you, keep coming after. I mean, once I've said, and I've had some blow-ups, and I've, you know, went after some people before, but when it's over, it's over. I'm not going to carry it over, and the kids look at me like, you're still not mad? No. I said what I had to say, and, you know, it's over.
My dad always says it's easy to coach all-stars. So when you look at professional coaches, they're already working with players that are professional.
Right.
So it's very different. I know people make mistakes, but it's different when you're working with Shohei Ohtani or Ted Williams. It's just so different.
Right.
You've been working with 14 to 18-year-olds.
Right.
And with the baseball camps, kids as young as 6.
Right.
It takes such dedication, skill, passion to work with these young children, young boys, young men, and women, to really help mold them to be something positive, to learn discipline, and to really prosper beyond the game and beyond just those. It's only a couple years.
Right.
Some players, they're only with you 4 years. Right. Describe how you can help mold these kids in these very formidable years. Just describe that.
Well, it's a process. I mean, it's like, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. You know, our stadium wasn't built in a day. We did one thing every year so that when the players come back for the alumni game, they would be, what did you do this year? Okay, I remember taking Robbie McCabe when he was a freshman starting shortstop at Ridgewood. I showed him where he had to play. You can't play deep. Okay, you're going to play here this whole year. If I ever see you farther back, I'm taking you out of the game. Okay, because next year, when you're a sophomore, you're going to be able. And I'm sure there's going to be people up in the stands, and they're going to say, well, he's not playing deep enough. Well, if you catch it, you're not going to be able to throw him out. and then your junior year, your senior year. So, it's a, progressive realization of a worthwhile goal, and that's what it is. That, hey, you listen to, trust me. And then, because he had a cannon, even as a little guy.
We played together.
Yeah.
My freshman year was his senior year.
And then, we had a lot of kids, like that. And they said, well, if he's not playing deep, he can't make the throw. And so, again, it's you put them in a situation where they can succeed. Okay? You're not going to be able to catch up with this kid now. So we're going to make sure that, we're going to hit and run. So we're taking the element of thinking out. You just know you got to swing the bat. Then go, So he might have hit him on a hit and run, which can carry over to this, teaching a pitcher to throw inside, okay, or outside or something. We want the first pitch down the middle. If we can get one strike on the guy, we got a shot.
We're working.
We're working out. Another year from Dave Dornerward, he was, 6 wins his sophomore year, then 13-1, 13-1. He got to you could catch him sitting on a bucket, and so, but again, even as good as he was, he had to have the process, that, okay, your curveball, we're gonna have to do some work on it. But again, you base it on the development period of what, and they got to listen to know that you're in their corner and know that they're going to fail. Okay, but you could throw a good, well, you've seen a guy throw a good pitch right on the hammer and a guy fight it off and get a base hit. Okay, and then the pitcher, tip your hat to him. Guy made it.
Yeah, 3 out of 10 chance.
Yeah, it's just
that's really good too.
That's the fun part. The fun part is seeing those young kids come in and and you get them in conditioning. Number one, you get you try to get them to the point where they don't think they can go anymore. The point of muscular failure, just like you in the lifting weights, you think, well, like kids were, when we evaluate the kids at Atlanta Lakes in their bench press, a lot of them, they take it off and they go down slow. They got no chance. They got no chance to hit and come up. And then you tell them, say, look, let's, because it's not, I guess, the rules of weightlifting class to where you got to, you can't, but again, I said, so then they'll go and they make it and say, that's part of it.
You're setting up goals.
Yes.
That are achievable.
Right.
And then you help them achieve it.
Right.
You're not just expecting the world out of a 14-year-old.
No. You can't do that. To me, that's the fun part, of coaching, is showing up every day and seeing those kids that grind. And then you say, okay, team meeting, and they come, run everywhere, run, move.
Speaking of which, you talked about Robbie McCabe, one of my old teammates. Describe your ideal player, because people listening may have never played baseball.
Right.
So they're going to imagine these physicalities.
Right.
But if I were to imagine your answer, you're probably not going to talk about those very much. Describe your ideal player.
When I look in his eyes, I see I got something. But if it's not, our team meetings was like, you look at me, and
your glasses will come off.
Yeah, if you don't, okay, I'm not going to sit out here for an hour. We're going to go, 5 minutes, 6, 7 minutes, and I said, I want to see your eyes, see that you're focused, and after that, you got 10 to 15 minutes after the game, and then it's over. But you think about what you did. But I want that kid to come in to want to learn and want to be like a sponge and take everything in. And then you're going to know that very quickly. And then plus two, the other fun part is it's what you learn after you know it all that counts. And, kids are like, well, I've got it made, just like John. I made it, and he didn't. And, that's what's, exciting about it, because, boy, this is a humbling game. You're hitting a round ball with a round bat. The hardest thing to do is hit a baseball. It's the only sport where you can be 33% of the time successful, and you're considered
phenomenal.
Phenomenal. You know, you got 10,000 at bats, and you failed 7,000 times, and you're in the Hall of Fame. You've hit, you know, and then it's, you know, you got, as a quarterback, you got to be 68, 70%. Free throw shooter, you got to be 80 to 90, but 33, I mean, you know, there's room for error. And that's what's so exciting about the sport.
So people, especially people that haven't played the game,
right,
when they hear their ideal player, they're thinking 6 foot this, this weight, this 60 time, this stupid spin rate, this velocity.
Oh, yeah.
Nope. You're really judging the character.
Right. It's what you got.
It's what you got.
Take it. I remember before I got married, my dad and I, we drove to the Smoky Mountains. It was going to be one of those, you know, daddy talks and everything. And, you know, we're talking about, you know, playing high school and college baseball and high school football and basketball and everything like that. I made the mistake of saying, you know, if I'd have been 6'3" or 6'4", and buddy, that was the end of that conversation. He lit me up. You know, you take your God-given size and fight and whatever, and that's what you got. That's what you were born with, and that's what you take it. You gonna wish half your life away? Well, I was like, oh.
So that's an important lesson. We've talked about my writing. I've written every week for years now. And years ago, I had this realization where most of my life, I said what you said. If I'm 6'2", I've got a much better shot at this division school, getting drafted, so on and so forth.
Right.
Clearly, I'm not 6'2", right? I realized you hear the term "play the hand you're dealt."
Right.
Typically, that's like a negative connotation. Yeah, play the hand you're dealt.
Yeah.
That's what you're stuck with. Well, once I learned I had a winning hand, but it doesn't mean I was always playing the right game for that winning hand.
Right.
So I found some success in baseball, right? I was never drafted. I never played pro. I felt that I didn't have a winning hand. That was the hand I was dealt.
Mm-hmm.
When I discovered powerlifting in a second life, I really, really excelled.
Mm-hmm.
And I found I had the winning hand.
Right.
But if I spent my whole life looking at baseball and questioning my life and wishing my life away, like you said, it's a very sour, twisted outlook.
Yes.
But it's something that I want a lot of people to learn. Everyone has a winning hand. The hand you're dealt is a winning hand. You may have to change the game you're playing, and it may take you a while, but you're going to find success.
But you got to have the opportunity to pursue it.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like this. Our kids now, they just play baseball. I think we got one that plays basketball, JV kid. We got one that played football. One varsity. This kind of stuff. You know, I went from football to basketball to baseball to spring football to baseball and track, because you had to run. If you played football, you had to pick one event to run. And I didn't run. I pole vaulted. I said, I'm not running.
Track and field.
Yeah. And so, you know, we'd do that and then go to baseball practice. But these kids and their parents are putting so much pressure. Okay. And the thing is, they play 40 games in the summer, 40, 50. I mean, they're playing 100 games a year. You better be good. You know, you better have you better throw. You better have a baseball IQ. You better be able to hit with 2 strikes. You better be able to pitch and throw strikes, because this is all that you're doing. And I think it affects. I mean, I enjoyed playing the other sports, you know. I mean, you don't have to be a starter. Fortunately, I played the thing, but, you know, we had other kids that didn't play as much, but still, you know, they learned, you know, you learn things from football you don't learn from baseball. You learn things from basketball you don't learn from the other sports, because of the fact that, you know, you're hidden. Baseball, you know, you caught the pitcher who pitched the game the next day in school. He walks into school and people didn't say, did you win? You know, they said, did you win? They didn't ask how you played. It's the pitcher. It's the only one in the scorebook that says won or lost. You know, did you win? Did you win? How many strikeouts did you get? How many hits you give up? How many runs you give up? Did you win? And the pitcher You know, I mean, you want to compare it? Compare it to wrestling. You either won or you got beat up. I mean, I hate to use that terminology, but you got beat.
It's true.
You got beat up. It's like fighting in school. You win or you lose. You got beat. The wrestler, he got nobody else to
blame.
It can't be like the tag team WWF to where he's getting beat up and he reaches over and gets a
Hulk Hogan comes back in, right?
He jumps over and things like that. And I mean, some kids have trouble. I mean, I remember when I had a real good player, Joe Bertucci, the first player we ever had drafted here. If there was one out and there was a runner at first, I would have the batter bunt to get him to second, so Joe would have an opportunity to knock him in. Somebody said, well, you're taking the bat? No, because I want him to know that this is what his responsibility is, and he's not going to knock him in every time, but if I don't put those situations there, and, fortunately the kid that hit before him knew that he's accepted it, and I think that's one part of coaching when a player accepts it, what his role is, and his parents accept what his role is, and you can win, and,
you demonstrate a lot. You demonstrated trust in each player.
Right.
You're trusting the guy to get to second. He's not going to get picked off. You're trusting the next batter to either sacrifice, so on and so forth, hit and run, whatever the situation, right? And then you're trusting Joe to perform. I'm giving you this opportunity because I trust you.
Right.
I'm not going to make all these calculated risks because I don't think you're going to succeed, right?
Right.
And I think presenting that confidence in the player, it's a form of caring that we've been talking about the whole time, but it changes the game. Yeah. And just like kids spotting phonies, they can spot if you have the confidence in me or if you don't.
I mean, we used to say we're going to try to steal home twice a year. We're going to try. We're not going to make it, but we're going to try it. And we worked on it. And I mean, one year in 91, we stole home to beat Plant right here to go to the next round of the playoffs. And and another goal that we had was we wanted one time during the year that we hit a ball to the pitcher, we beat it out. Now he might drop it or whatever, but that was the emphasis of coming out of the batter's box. The thing is that, and we posted those. I didn't post stats, how many hits you had. I posted well hit balls and number of runners left in scoring position. Because to me, that's the game. You're 0 for 3 and you come up in your last at bat and the guy's at second, you knock him in for the winning run. I mean, that's, if you're pouting about the other two, then you got no chance. Or this kid that has to bunt with 2 strikes.
A sac fly probably wins more games than home runs.
Right.
Right. There's probably more walk-off sac flies than walk-off home runs.
Right.
I'm just making that stat up, but it sounds pretty accurate, right? And if you look at the numbers, damn, guy went 0 for 4 again.
Yeah.
But if you had 3 lineouts and a sac fly, or 4, in the sac fly, because sac fly doesn't count, you just don't know. The numbers can really be manipulated. But as a coach, you're looking at their heart, you're looking at their performance, how they're running. And if that guy knows it's a sac fly to pop up, he dropped his hands, and he's sprinting to first, he's still trying, 70% of the time, you're not going to get on base successfully. But if you're still running it out.
If you hit that ball in the outfield, you better be standing on second.
Yeah. Or even if you get a walk, which does not mean you have to walk to the base for the non-baseball listeners.
I think you got to move. Get to first base. Mean, we play a couple of teams. If it's a certain situation where there's a runner at third and they get a base on ball, they hit first base, they're going to second.
Yeah, let it rip.
So you got to prepare.
Yep. As a catcher, I would try to beat the runner to first to back up the play.
I seen that on the video the other day. It was on Twitter. What is it?
Twitter, X,
whatever. But it said catcher beats the runner to first base. That was awesome.
And especially if I was quick, but I was never fast.
Right.
You know that.
Right.
But if I'm outbeating guys that we know is faster than me, it shows he's not trying very hard, and I'm definitely working my ass off. I mean, try to get there.
And sometimes you got to prove a point. Nowadays, I mean, you don't see it as much. A kid doesn't hustle to his position and you take him out in the middle of an inning, or a kid says something and the umpire don't hear it, and it's a curse word, and he gets, you take him out of the game. But the thing good about high school is that you can put them back in. The reentry rule. We took a player out one year. He missed a sign. Well, I took him out in the middle of the back. Of course, there were people, and I mean, the parents were, what are you doing? Well, just tell them shut up, And then kid came in the dugout, and we went back, back on the field. I said, "You're going back in." He takes off running the field. Parents are like, "Hey, I approve." I mean, that set the tone for everybody. We didn't do that until halfway through the season. You had the halfway point to learn all the signs. We went over signs every day for 5 minutes. Okay.
Indicators, the whole line.
Everything. We had 3 different signs. So, you had a question. Okay. What's that sign? Okay. You got 10, this type of stuff.
You're making me so uncomfortable.
You just do it. And then, but the halfway point, you got to know them, because if they don't, then you might have a chance to win a district game to get to the playoffs. And the fifth, no big deal if you miss it. That's, to me, that's what it is. But, it's emphasized.
You've been a role model for thousands of young minds because it goes beyond the game of baseball. You've been teaching, and when you have several periods a day,
right,
you're seeing a lot of eyes, a lot of faces every single day. And you've been doing this for decades. You've been a role model for so long, and you continue to be. That's why you're included to be groomsmen for former players, right?
Yeah.
And you're showing up to baby showers and everything else. Who was a role model for you growing up?
Well, I mean, without the exposure, I guess my dad, and my mom, he was iron worker. That's the guys. Back then, they didn't have OSHA. They didn't have nets. And he was red iron union worker. He would ride the headache ball up on top. And he would walk a beam this high, 200-300 feet in the air. And just like dancing. I mean, every day he went, he didn't know if he was going to come back because something could happen. And, I remember when I made the baseball team when I was 9, he bought a glove and then got me a jacket and said, "Here's what we're going to do." That was it, Football, we'd go. How many people could take their dad to the football field and throw him passes? He'd run those passes and catch them, Great.
He cared.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Your mom too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It shows that importance.
Yeah.
And for the players that didn't have those parents,
right,
you presented that caring. And you're able to create this new pattern where there could be a home situation where it's less than fortunate, but they can have a teacher or a coach like you at a public school on a public high school baseball team, and it can set this new positive, routine, and it really changes people's lives, and it's really, really important.
He just, he grew up without his dad.
Your father?
Yeah. Yeah. He died in the war. But anyway, he was tough. I mean, you had to toe the line because he worked out of town, and he'd come back on a Friday night, and he didn't want to have me, my brother, sister. He didn't want to hear that we had been, bad or anything like that. And he said, if you're going to play, you play hard. My brother, he was bigger than me, and he played football, pee-wee football. How you're playing. Well, he never really hit anybody. And Daddy would look, if you're going to play, every Saturday after the game, we're sitting there eating a sandwich and going over. Finally, my brother had enough. He hit this kid in a pee-wee football game. I thought it killed him. And then he looks at my dad and goes, "Is that what you want?" And from then on, he was good. I mean, he knew he could do it. But if he hadn't have been prompted to do it, he would have never taken that next step. And that's the way he was. He just wanted you to compete, whatever it was. I mean, if it was a backyard football game, you wanted to play hard.
You've answered this numerous ways. We've talked about how much you care.
Right.
We chatted. We've been talking for years, but we chatted recently. You modestly told me you've helped at least 100 players play at the next level from high school to college. I think that's extremely modest. I'm sure that number is much higher, but it's a really hard number to track. Explain why helping these kids from high school play at the next level has been so important to you.
Well, they reach their potential. You know, I had a kid, Tommy Larson. I don't know if you know Tommy.
Mm-mm.
He's a physical therapist in Tallahassee. He was a tall, skinny kid. He did everything right. Real smart. And I had him an opportunity to go to several different schools, junior colleges and everything, but he wanted to go to Florida. So I said, look, I'm behind you 100%. You know, I think you should. So he started lifting. He's got a booklet out. I'll have to drop it by and let you see it. But he was eating 7 times a day. He walked on 4 years in a row at the University of Florida.
Wow.
And made it to the last cut. Okay. But I could have said, okay, I get another name on the board for a college. You need to go here. You need to do this. Then he went to physical therapy school, and we talked about. He's a physical specimen, and he's 49. And about a month before Christmas, he had a heart attack. He had blockage that had broken out. Of course, you know, I texted him, talked to his dad. His dad called me. But, you know, how you doing? Week later, how you doing? You know, hit the top step running. You know, he was back. You know, in fact, he's better now than he was before. It was some plaque had developed in an artery. Of course, I didn't. You know, he knows all about that. But it's if they can go. I don't want to put a family in debt or make them think, well, I'm gonna let Coach Beets down if my kid doesn't go to school. Not that.
It's about true confidence.
Right, yeah.
Not false confidence.
Right. No, you know, here you are. Do they academically, can they meet your standards? I don't want you going. Even if you're going to a junior college, I want to know that you take the same things that you would at a 4-year school and that you're going to be online to go, you know, to get in your academic program because you can't eat baseballs. You know,
Unfortunately.
You know, yeah, they don't taste very good, I guess. But, you know, you're not going to make me happy. And, you know, one of the kids, I've got a charm here, a baseball player that one of my students gave me. He never played baseball, Mike Ryan, and he's a professor at New Mexico, University of New Mexico. He's been to England, all over the world. We still text or he'll send me something. He sent me a book that he wrote. I had to tell him. And I was a history major also in college. Phenomenal. All this stuff they got. And he never got one base hit, you know, or stole one base or won one game. And driver's ed, you know, teach these kids and you run into them, you go, hey, how's your driving? You know,
still rolling stop signs.
You know, and you know, it's like, okay, but they don't, we took them out there. We got them in situations to where you're going to have people do this. You know, we talked about road rage and everything that you can't, you know, some of you guys, you know, your bulldog mouth's going to get your chihuahua ass in a sling. You get out here and start running your mouth on the road and you got some guy going to the government building over here right by the school and he might be sentenced to jail. And so you want to play big dog and all of a sudden he jumps out and it's game over. You know, I said, so sometimes you got to, you know, play it a little different.
Be smart.
Yeah.
So you just noted you've taught driver's ed. What other classes did you teach? Other courses?
When I first started teaching, I taught geography, science 1 year, of course, PE, driver's ed. I was the dean of students at Gulf High School for 3 years. And when I started here, I was dean of students 3 years here. You know, that was.
I believe your first year was 1975.
August of 74.
August of 74.
Right.
What was your first week like?
Oh, you know, this was year-round schools. 45-15, you were A, B, C, or D track. Well, my wife, she was on multi-tracks, so we weren't off the same track, and I substituted when I was off. But, you know, the thing was, if you had a heartbeat and a diploma, you got a job. If you looked at the parking lot at Gulf Junior High where I first started, there was not a Florida tagging the whole thing. Everybody was from Michigan, Tennessee, Alabama, Ohio. I mean, they were just trying to, and I had never, I taught PE when I was, doing my interning and everything. And all of a sudden I was a geography with 45 kids in the class sitting on the floor, 10 of them. And, it was like, is this what it's all about? So
you were right out of college.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was right out of graduate school.
25,
23.
23. So you graduated very young.
I graduated at 22. I went to graduate school at 23. So I was probably 24.
Yeah. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
Did you quickly learn how to set the precedence?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You got me, you got eat or be eaten, that's the thing is, and I mean, I'm sure they thought I was crazy. I mean, that type of thing. So, you basically, knew that, that they weren't really into geography. Science was okay, but I was not a science, buff. I mean, I learned I had good teachers that helped me that had been teaching before and everything. But number one, you got to get control of the class. And from that, everything will fall into place.
Similar to baseball.
Absolutely.
Right. So you talked about being dean of students.
Right.
You talked a little bit about, was it corporal punishment?
Right.
You mentioned, right?
Right.
I still hear paddling stories to this day. That's definitely a different time in education. Right. Explain, kids today will have no idea what you can't even imagine, right? Kind of explain how things were different, but explain the impacts of what that was like.
Well, we didn't have, you didn't have in-school suspension. You didn't have stay after school. Kids got on the bus because they would go from Gulf Junior all the way out to Odessa.
Wow.
So nobody was there to pick them up. There were no schools out there, so they get to school, and so it made it tough. But the kids knew. I mean, you laid it down just like you would a baseball program. If you do this, this is what's going to happen. And back then, if a parent didn't agree to the corporal punishment, if they were 17 or under, then you suspended them. You went out of school. So it was like, and a lot of times the kids, even if they were 17 or 18, they could make the decision on their own. Back then it was like, just don't tell my dad. I got to go out this weekend. If he finds out if I'm suspended, he won't let me go on that date on Saturday night. And but you made it. Everybody got the same. It didn't matter if your dad was a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever, or a boy or a girl. Well, at Gulf we had a dean of women, and she took the girls in. I took the boys in, and then when I came to Ridgewood, it was I did it all. Boys, girls. I mean, you had to have a witness. You had to do all that. I mean, sometimes people wanted to sue you because of that, but I mean, it was like, we had a standing rule. If you threw something off the balcony, you got paddled. That was it. If we had to walk to take you out of a classroom, you got into it. And, sometimes, parents would call back in and, it would be like, you hit somebody and you get a bruise on your arm. All the blood vessels in the buttock area, they would turn blue, whatever. It doesn't matter if you hit them easy or hard or whatever. And of course, I was like I am now, 170 pounds, 175. I wasn't 6'8" or whatever, but the kids respected it. That type. I remember one time here, there was a parent came in and said, "Where's the Beets guy at?" And I raised my hand. Officer, he come charging back there. He started cussing, and blah blah blah. And I said, "Look, you want to cuss? We'll cuss. You want to fight? We'll fight. Not going to change anything. This kid sitting over here, he's the issue." And he looked at me. I said, "Look, I'm going to go get some coffee." I said, "When's the last time you told him you loved him?" He goes, "What?" "Yeah, I'll be back." I come back. They were both crying. He goes, "Whatever you want to do, coach." "No, you done it." But I said, you and I, we can. He did something that deserved corporal punishment, but I never seen the kid the rest of the year. So, it was like, don't do it.
It shows the wisdom where everyone can assume what the easier outcome could have been.
Right.
could have been ignore the dad,
Right.
do the deed,
Yeah.
go about your day. But you saw it goes beyond this one event.
Right.
And just you posed one question. You didn't even tell the dad what to do.
Right.
You just asked a question.
Yeah.
And you let him honestly answer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was enough to have a positive impact.
Right.
That shows immense wisdom and patience.
Yeah, I mean, it's because that's what you do. I mean, every day you show up, you're looking for something, to happen. That you've got to make a decision on. And teachers, of course, once they find out you're not going to back down, sometimes they try to take advantage of it. And a couple times I went to a teacher. I said, "Okay, here's the choices. I'm going to suspend him, or I'm going to paddle him 3 licks. You tell me what you want to do. Tell me right now." Because she was having to face that kid, and it was going to be her decision on what I did. And she didn't want him coming back to class after she told me what to do, because she knew she would probably have more issues. She goes, "It's okay, just talk to him and then send him back to class." Because once it's easy to say, "Okay, go ahead, attack him, do what you got to do. Give him 5 licks. You couldn't do it. Five was the most, but that didn't happen very often. But I mean, once you put it on their plate, it's the same thing with removing the kid off the team. That's you as the coach, and that's not something enjoyable to do, to have to take somebody and say, "Okay, you're done." I mean, I didn't have my assistant coach go over and tell him, I'm looking him in the eye and I'm saying, this is it, and this is why, we're doing this. And, nowadays, I mean, smoking, drinking, drugs, all that kind of stuff, they knew,
It's a responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, you want to play, we're counting on you. You don't, I mean, nowadays, a kid comes back, you don't know what he's doing. You start pushing him to run, and he's got something in his system, and he,
You noted, I'm sure it's happened way more than once. People have thanked you years later, decades later. They said, "You gave me what I needed at that time."
Right.
And what they needed could have been a high five.
Right.
Could have been called a knucklehead.
Right.
Or other words. Could have been a paddling.
Right.
How did you know at that time what that person needed?
That's it has to be a personality type thing that you number one, you've got to have been around the kid a little bit. I mean, there was a kid here, Donnie Peak. I used to chase him all around the school. And I grabbed him one day and I took him to Marchman, and I said, "Look," I said, "he's not coming back to Ridgewood. You got something over here he can do." And he had mechanics and body work and everything like that. And 20 years later, he's got his own business up in Hudson, making a killing now. And then he moved to North Carolina. Now he's I think in Michigan. His wife, Danielle, she went to Ridgewood. I mean, I had the old brown truck. Remember that?
F-100.
320,000 miles on it. And I ran into her at Publix one day, and she goes, "Hey, Donnie's going to paint your truck for free." Because he would have never, and we still, every once in a while, will correspond or something like that. When he was in Asheville, when they had that big flood up there, he was a little bit above it. I texted him. I said, "Hey, you need any help? Got everything on?" "Oh, yeah, we got everything. Thanks, Coach." And then we had the storm down here. He calls me, "Hey, my family lives there. I can come down." He never played a sport.
But you still had that strong of an impact.
Oh, yeah. Well, you do what you think's best. It's common sense. I'm not a psychologist, I don't have some degree from whatever. I mean, you take a chance on what you think and how it was when you grew up, what that kid needs, and treat people. I mean, you can be good, but I mean, one of the biggest things I had was make sure you treat your parents correct. Make sure you take care of your mother. Because we used to say every Mother's Day, "Did you get your card?" Every once in a while you get a kid whose mother wasn't around, for whatever reason. She might have died or divorced or whatever the case may be. So you could still get a card and put it in a drawer, that you didn't forget your mother and who she was. You know, I mean, so, and then Dad, of course, Father's Day we were out of school. You know, so but Mother's Day I said, you know, there's a lot of pain there you don't realize, but you'll realize it one day when your wife, you know. But I said, you know, those are the kind of things. And you know, I ever see a kid getting on his mother, that, you know, I went after him. You know, that's just the way it was.
We've talked about a bunch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I have no idea what time it is. Hopefully we're not in a rush.
No.
Tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Oh.
You talked about your time with your dad.
Right.
Playing a bunch of sports.
Right. Yeah, it was great. You know, brother and sister grew up modest means. By my dad worked, mother didn't. You know, so you went from paycheck to paycheck. You know, you get hand-me-downs. You know, but the great grandmother never knew any of my grandfathers. They were both gone. And you know, you just back then it was so. I mean, you know, we finally got a TV. You know, I think I was a sophomore in high school when we got a colored TV. But it was basically, you know, when Dad came home Sunday dinner, then he would have to go back to work. But you had to do your school work, and you know you had to go. It was simple. And then one year we left Tennessee and we moved to Gary, Indiana, and that's where the work was. So we went up there and lived in Shady Side Trailer Park. I went to one school. My brother and sister went to another elementary school. It was second grade, and there was fences all over the school, like 12-foot high fences. I mean, I was like, what in the world is going on here? And I mean, I went to school up there. It was all different types of cultures. And where I came from, it was, you know, in Tennessee at that time, you know, it was one. But, you know, you didn't think anything about it. You know, we stayed there a year and then moved back and then started sports when I was 9. My brother started, and my sister, she didn't. She was older. And but it was just, I wouldn't want it to have been any other way. You know, I mean, I didn't know any other way.
It shows the impact.
Yeah.
Recalling these memories.
It's hard work.
It is.
I mean, it was when your dad, when he came home from work and he would spend time with you, you know, it wasn't quantity. That's like my wife with coaching. I said, look, I spend quality time, you know, and that was it. I mean, it might be 30 minutes or what, playing catch or whatever. And then, you know, you were just happy. You were just happy he made it home from work and didn't fall off of a bridge or a building or something like that. And I mean, you know, it was, you know, just a family gathering, you know, your close family at, you know, Christmas, Thanksgiving, you know, that type of stuff, you know, no outlandish, you know, vacations or anything because, you know, he worked out of town. Vacation was to go to the Smoky Mountains, go trout fishing, or go to Douglas Lake, rent a boat, go out, or go to the bank and fish and have a cookout. That was the best, you know. I mean, that would be going to whatever cruise or anything like that because you could throw rocks across the lake or you know, run or jump in, whatever. I mean, that was everybody. You know, nobody knew what kind of car was fancy or whatever. It was just like, you know, I mean, my first car was a 54 Chevy that was green on one side, black on the other, and primer on the back. You know, I mean, so, hey, didn't know, you know, didn't think about it.
But it taught you these lessons.
Yeah.
And these virtues.
Well, respect. I mean, when you went to school then, you know, it was yes, sir, no, sir. You know, all my kids. I mean, you go into a place now and some lady, you'll say something, you'll go, yes, ma'am. She'll go, I'm no ma'am. I go, well, you'll get over it because that's the way I was raised, you know. So whether or not you like it or not, this is the way it is. So, you know, whatever. But, you know, your teachers, I mean, you had to sit there. I mean, when I went to school, your hair couldn't be over your ears. You know, in high school, your football coach or whatever, you didn't, you know, one day we all wore no socks to school. We want to be cool. So everybody went to the football locker room. We were wearing socks. We were wearing girls' socks. We were whatever we could find because if we didn't have it on, you didn't play. I mean, it was not a case of, you know, door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. Let's make a deal. It was I mean, in your classes, you sat there, you showed up, you sat down, the teacher came in, and, there was no messing around.
You explained you played a lot of sports.
Right.
And the importance of playing different sports. You're going to learn different things, different coaches, different skills, but also gives you a break. So you're not getting worn out from just throwing right-handed because you're playing baseball. You could be running track or pole vaulting. It's so important for kids today. I mean, I guess we're definitely glad that they're playing sports and they're not just playing video games.
Right.
Time and place. But I think something that people could be doing better is let the kid have fun.
Right.
And experiment and try.
Mm-hmm.
I am terrible at basketball. You would be embarrassed to watch me. I'm really bad. But I remember my dad let me do the workouts.
Right.
And I was humbled really quickly running these suicides on this court or even outside on the hills outside.
Yeah.
I was humbled quickly because it's not something I was used to. But I think it was a great taste of, wow, you could be a great baseball player. You could be terrible at basketball.
Right.
And if I didn't know that, you might just have this weird ego grow because of baseball. But it's humbling, it's grounding, and it ultimately made me a better player.
Right.
If I could run these suicides, I could run a 60,
Right.
Home to second, so on and so forth.
People just don't, parents, I know I've given some lessons to 6 or 7-year-olds, and, I tell the parent, look, he just wants to play. Bring him back to a couple of years. You don't want to give lessons? No, I'm not going to take your money. I'm not going to sit here and have you every week and tell you, oh, yeah, this kind of stuff. He's sitting over there like a 6-year-old just, doing different stuff, looking at the ants or, that kind of, stuff. I said, no. I said, another year or so, just, let him play. I mean, don't have him live off of you or you live off of him because maybe you didn't have the opportunity to play and, this type of stuff. I said, let him play. But, I said, you can go up the road here and they'll give you $75 for an half hour and they'll do whatever. And I said, I'm not, I'm not going to do it. I mean, I don't know if they got mad or they whatever, but I said, I'm not going to, your kid just wants to play. If you, take him to the park, this type of stuff. Let him play and have fun.
Yeah. Because it's ultimately about the betterment of the kid.
Yes. I mean, that's all I've ever been is that, what's going to work best for the kid, not what's going to work best for you, as the parents, but, your kid. And I mean, nowadays, like I told you earlier, you got these kids just playing baseball just all the time. Back when, I first started at Ridgewood here and, up until the last 4 or 5 years, we got the kids from West Pasco. And you knew which coaches, Junior Robertson, that they played for, Glenn Locke, Bill DeVault, those kind of guys that are several of them have passed away, that you knew what you got. They had been disciplined. I mean, even back then they would say, well, you probably play for something. They said, okay, show me your grade card. Show me your report card. If you got so such, you're not, this type of stuff. But you knew what you got. And then nowadays you got them coming in and they're floating in with their all sorts of stuff on and their fancy bags and this kind of stuff. And these kids just love baseball. They just wanted to play, and they were good. You knew the ones that came from those certain teams, and it was fun because you could go over and watch them. You'd sneak over there and wear a sombrero or whatever, and so that the kids didn't see you, and you'd watch them play to see how they're acting and everything. It was fun. It was a community. They went to Ridgewood, and then they built River Ridge, and then Mitchell and stuff, all these kind of things. So you had all these pockets of different people coming up, which gave more opportunities for, each school.
Definitely. 51 years. You've grown from a junior high school baseball coach.
Yeah.
You even coached football
for
a number of years. You found your home at Ridgewood. Was it 28 years at Ridgewood?
Yes, 28.
28 years. From Ridgewood, you went straight to PHSC.
Right.
Played, coached college for 10 years.
10 years.
10 years, right? Now you're at Land O'Lakes.
Right.
What keeps you coming back to the Diamond?
Kids. I mean, I see in several of Land O'Lakes players what I've seen in Ridgewood players or Gulf High School players. And in fact, I'm going over this weekend to Orlando to play golf, if that's what you call it. Coach Baisley and I go over. He's really good. But I've got 3 kids that played for me at Gulf that played at Pasco Hernando. They live in Massachusetts and up north, and then one of them is Coach Baisley's player that he had. And I got 4 or 5 other kids that I coached at Gulf High School, about 6 of them. That was 1979, and we meet for a golf tournament, and I'll see one of these kids. In fact, one of them I said, Rich Bouchane, he was a shortstop 2 years ago. I said, hey, you remember that grand slam you hit against the alumni? We played an alumni game, which was a real game against former Gulf High School players, and he goes, how do you remember that? I said, well, I might not be able to remember what I had for breakfast, but I said, I can remember that. But, you'll see something in a kid that relates to that kid. And, just the excitement of getting out on the field, because, who knows what'll happen next year. You just don't know. And so, I'm able to throw, I'm able to hit pregame and everything. And I mean, coming from the college and World Series, hitting pregame at a college World Series and winning 4th and then 3rd. And I mean, that was awesome. It's on a smaller scale of Omaha, but it was still, something. And to be a part of it, Coach Winterling, 27 years there as the head coach and everything, and then Coach Coleman coming in. And I mean, we had different philosophies, but I was able to express mine and given the opportunity without, it wasn't like, okay, no. It was like, hey, and that's what I tell my coaches, all the coaches. I said, if you think there's a better way, convince me. We'll change, but sell it to me. Don't be afraid. Sell it to me. And, there was all.
Research.
Yeah, research.
They need to present research.
That's right.
Right? I did not tell you beforehand.
Right.
I have a gift for you.
Oh, okay.
I handwrite all my notes
for
every single conversation.
Good.
All of your questions I have written down. And the brand's field notes, they're made in the U.S. They're a brand I really want to support. Okay. And I did not tell you, but every guest gets their own field notes. That's what I've wrote inside for you.
Absolutely. Looking
I really
forward to
wanted
reading it. Yeah.
to thank you.
And now the big question.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
I find we're on our phones so much.
Right.
Right? That it changes everything.
Right.
When I take the time to sit down and write your questions. And I actually write them twice. I write out all my ideas, and then I think about what really fits the conversation.
That's what I do. When it's a speech or anything, I do it 2 or 3 times.
So I've got a notebook of rough drafts, and then I got this, and it really shows you take the time.
Absolutely.
You're hitting the top step running.
Right.
But it's important, and I want more people to handwrite.
Right.
It's easy to just talk to your phone. You don't have to text now. You just talk to the phone.
Yeah.
Right. So it's different to handwrite. So I definitely want to give that to you. I have a very, very, very big thank you to Dr. Chris Dunning. He's the principal here. The school is Wendell Crinn Technical High School. It was formerly Ridgewood for 40 years. Coach Beets started here. The school, Wendell Crinn Technical High School, is named after the first principal that hired you over 40 years ago, right? Almost 50 years ago.
1983.
Fall. So I really want to thank Dr. Chris Dunning for allowing us to do this. We are on Anders Court, which is named after a good friend, Coach Anders. And to this day, this is Anders Court, and the baseball field is Beets Field. And it's really important to continue to recognize and honor you.
I appreciate that.
And it's different to give people flowers.
No,
when they can't receive it, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's it. But I'll keep that. That goes. I just regret the opportunity. I didn't get to coach you for 4 years in high school. That was sweet.
You excuse me. I did get to play with you at PHSC.
Right.
And you believed in me.
Oh yeah. You got my jersey, and then they took it away from you. They number 14.
Very true.
Or they told Coach Mattos, nope,
You believed in me when I
Right.
struggled
Right.
to believe myself.
Right.
Yeah, older upperclassmen had my number 12.
Right.
I knew 14 was yours, and I noticed no one else took it
Right.
after you retired. So I was like, I'll wear it.
Right.
That lasted half of one game. I don't even think half. I think before the game, it was ripped off my body, and I understood why. I do have one photo in my mom's living
Right.
room wearing your jersey.
Okay.
And before the first game, they just threw me 16,
Right.
and that became my number after, right? 14 is definitely known to be your number.
Right.
But the impact you had on me
Appreciate that.
and thousands of other people, I want to thank you
Okay.
for all of us.
Well, it was worth it. I'd do it again. I'm still doing it. Still
doing it.
trying.
51 years
Right.
in
This
counting.
year. Right.
So the final question that you're aware of, it's my dad's greatest lesson he's ever taught me. And you've known my dad
Oh yeah.
possibly since he was in high school
Right.
at Hudson High School
Right.
in the 1980s.
Right.
And my dad worked with you here
Right.
at Ridgewood for 14 or 15
Yeah,
years he was here. My dad's greatest lesson is to never waste a mistake. And I remember driving on Orchid Lake Drive where the school's at. I vividly remember we were in the Buick Century that my dad was driving.
Right.
And he told me to never waste a mistake.
Right.
And he's told me throughout my life, but I vividly remember at the streetlight at Orchid
Okay.
and Rowan that he tells me this. And the beauty is, it's not never waste my mistake,
Right.
where I struck out
Right.
or I threw my glove when I knew,
Yeah, you were hot.
That's
you
not.
you were hot. I mean, I like that about you. That you
I had
competed.
passion,
Right.
right?
Right.
But it's not just to learn from my own mistakes, but to the mistakes of others.
Right.
So the final question to every guest is, what is one mistake you've not wasted?
Well, when I was 9 years old, I started playing baseball. Come home, said, "Hey, Daddy, I made it." So what are you? I said, "I'm a pitcher." He said, How come you're a pitcher?" I said, "I was the only one that could throw it over." And I mean, we didn't have T-ball we just played. It seemed like everybody could catch. Well, we won the city championship in Knoxville. I'm 14-0 pitching. The next year, we had the worst uniforms at Thompson Tire. They were, it was coming off. They were wool. The next year, we got a new sponsor. We won the city championship again. I'm 13-0. Another pitcher threw and got one win. So then I go to Little League at 11 and 12 years old, and we're 4-0, and I'm winning every game, and I'm on the mound, and we're getting beat. All of a sudden, I start the lesson of pouting, whining, crying, this type of stuff. And I look up, and here comes my dad. He made it to the game. Got the khaki pants, the boots. He jumped the fence, walked right out to the mound. Now, this would not happen today. Grabbed me by the nape of the neck and drop kicked me all the way to the car. He said, "You will not embarrass. You will not be selfish. Look at all those other players out there. You're responsible for them. And you will learn that from this day forth." That was it. I've never made the mistake of putting myself, wins, losses, college, whatever. I mean, and people were like, and I mean, the umpire, Otis Skiles, I'll never forget it. He goes, "Mr. Beets," he goes, "stay where you're at because I'll come back and get you." He said, "My boy is not going to act like this," because he had seen other kids during the course of growing up. I mean, after that point, Tommy, it's all about, let's go. You're going to win, you're going to lose. How you play the game, whatever. But I mean, he was not afraid. I mean, he was not afraid of anything, And from that point on, I mean, my brother was in the car, Mama was there, and she said, George, no. You're not going to be embarrassment to your family. You're not going to be embarrassed as a coach, as a father, as a parent, as a teacher. you know, you're going to treat with respect. Whatever you do, people are going to know that you're doing it the right way. You're not going to be selfish and poor me or something. I'm getting beat, so everybody feels no. That was an easy mistake that I made, and I'm glad I made it. I'm glad I made it, and I didn't get to go. And I mean, you know, you see people, and you know, like you had a passion for the game. I had a passion for the game. You know, I'd get upset, but not to the point to where it was like that anymore. You know, it was like, hey, I got to do better.
You learn from it.
Oh, I learned it because of what I mean. My dad, he had the bluest eyes you could imagine, but it's like one of those horror movies where the guy's eyes turn red when they get like that. You know, you didn't
question.
No.
Well, it's a lesson I hope more people can learn.
Well, I've told that to every team that I've ever, you know, coached.
Yeah.
That this, you know, you think that, you know, you watch these kids, they're flipping bats or they're, you know, it's all never hit the home run, you know. I mean, I know it's tradition now. Guy gets a double and he, you know, whatever. We were just happy to get to second, you know, and hopefully the guy would knock you in. You know, we weren't going to embarrass anybody because the next guy would get drilled.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, it was, and that, I miss that. I miss that part of the game to where, you know, you're accountable and it's, you know, do the right thing. Respect. You get taken out on the double play and then you take that guy out and he goes, hey, good job, Beets. You know, it wasn't like, hey, that's the way you play.
Well, because of gentlemen like you, players are still learning the game.
I hope so.
That way. I want to thank you. I know I've done that a couple times, but on behalf of many, many, many people, you've been a positive impact and role model.
Well, thank you. Thank your dad and your mom because they're special people. I remember when they were growing up, and I really looked forward to when you came to Ridgewood to play baseball because I'd seen you play, and I knew what we had, and we still had. I mean, we had a senior team, and y'all won the district and everything, and I was like, boy, if she would have let me coach, you know. But
I don't know if I ever told you when Ridgewood closed, they were slowly giving away all the relics. Right. I have the 2012 district championship.
Oh, good.
At home.
Good.
And I consider bringing a couple things for you. I was at Ridgewood's final game.
Right.
We were there together.
Yeah.
Ridgewood's final game ever as Ridgewood. Right. And I actually took clay.
Oh, did you?
From the last game. And it's at my home.
I've got clay in a thing that they gave me for a jersey.
Yeah.
That was good. I mean, it's, you know, it was a special play, still is. I met with the new coach over here Saturday that's coming in and showed him where some things were and everything. But hey, I'm just proud that you advanced and doing something that you love. And I mean, I look at you and I'm thinking, wow, you know, that's awesome.
I appreciate it. You're the best.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love you.
Love you. Bye.